Jeremy, we have a special friend in the house.
I know, I'm so excited.
Yeah, let's introduce her to everybody.
Okay. Hey everybody, it's Everything Energy with Tina and Jeremy.
Hey,
Welcome. Today
hello,
we've got a
welcome.
special guest. We're so excited.
Oh,
It's our
no.
friend Lynsie Brown. Okay, I need to go like that. There we go. Even though I'm pointing in the wrong direction. Um, Lynsie is our dear friend. She is a piano teacher. She's a feng shui consultant. She's a Chinese astrologer. And more than anything that she does, she does space clearings and energy healing space clearings. So
The goddess of.
she does it
Welcome
all.
in. Yeah, welcome, Lindsay. We're so happy you're here.
Thanks. Thanks for having me, guys. This is
hmm
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, this
Excited
is
to
a
be
lot
here.
of fun. Do you want to? So, I would love for you to just tell everybody, like, how did you get started in this space clearing stuff that you do so much about? And what opened the door for that? And tell us a little bit about what that means.
Well, I can tell you it was not intentional. I did not set out to be do generational clearings or any kind of clearings. I've definitely always been attracted to energy and this type of work, but receiving, not giving. And so the way I started out was I was learning from a teacher and going through a lot of her processes to clear my own crap and just work through some past trauma and try to figure out who I really was and what I wanted out of life. And I did Reiki training level 1 and 2 with her, and she did kind of a unique twist on her Reiki training, and so it wasn't traditional Reiki, and I really took to that. And she ended up going to Peru sometime during our work together. It was a lot of group work and some one-on-one work, but she ended up going to Peru and studying with these two women who were shaman, and she did a deep dive with them and sat and learned from them, and she brought back what she learned from them and taught who um, she felt moved to teach and who was open to learning, and I was lucky enough to be one of those students. And we went through our own generational clearings with her, and it was absolutely one of the most profound experiences of my life.
Wow.
And it really put me on the path of healing and of healing my own traumas and my own generational crap, and also on the road to help others heal. And I think it was that pivotal point for me that I really got set on on this path, the right path. I don't know if there's really a right path
hmm
for anybody, but it was this path for me that I'm currently on, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
So
So, what does that mean, a generational clearing? Can you describe a little bit about that process or what that means?
there's a lot of background to shamanism. Anybody who has a any kind of knowledge about that knows the basic belief of how everything is generational and connected to the earth, and there's some occultish beliefs in there about light and dark, and um, and this form of shamanism teaches about how we can carry on and basically carry a punishment from our ancestors, and that needs to be cleared in order for us to progress and heal, and our progenitors to be able to progress and heal. And so that's kind of the basis of this generational clearing. The idea is, if we can go back and heal our ancestors, and sometimes it's just a line, and sometimes it's somebody very specific who needs the healing
Mm-hmm.
in the line.
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many interesting, crazy experiences where, like, I could see the person crystal clear who was standing in line ready for this clearing. And as soon as we helped this person heal, then the person in front of me, just like, you could practically see them transform. I've seen
Mm.
people transform before my eyes, and it's just like they're releasing this layer and this coat of burden that they've been carrying for their generations,
Yeah.
their past generations. And it's really gratifying. It's really
Mm.
gratifying to
Mm.
be able to see that and to be able to help facilitate that. Um, and I feel very honored to be able to do this work and help anybody, because it's really made such a huge impact on my life.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so
Wow.
cool.
Mm.
Is there a specific instance or, a specific client that comes to mind when you're talking about these amazing experiences that you'd like to share?
I think the one that stands out to me the most, aside from just my own experience, is a woman who was adopted. She never knew her, she didn't really know anything about her ancestors or where she came from. She didn't even really know, she'd never had any DNA work done. And
Mm.
she
Wow.
was one of my first clearings that I did. And the amount of power and energy, the room was absolutely buzzing. It was like these ancestors had been waiting for this opportunity
Ah.
to connect with her, and also to heal their own trauma. And she
Mm.
had it, specifically it was a grandmother. It makes me emotional.
Mm.
Specifically a grandmother, and this woman is one of the most beautiful people I've ever known. But she just was exuding love, and wanted her to know more than anything how loved she was,
Mm.
and how where she ended up and who she ended up with was exactly where she should be and who she should be with.
Wow.
And the amount of gratitude that this woman had for her was so overwhelming. We were both just sobbing, that it was the most amazing, beautiful experience. And I won't go into too many details about it, because it was sacred. It was sacred,
Mm.
and it was such an honor to be a part of. But after that, she went through, and there was such specific detail that came through. After that, she went on and had DNA work, and the things that she uncovered was exactly what we had
So cool.
experienced in her clearing. It was
Wow.
absolutely beautiful. It was
Mm.
absolutely beautiful. And so um, reaffirming to me that this is something that I wanted to do, and also
Mm.
something that I need to do.
Mm.
I feel like this work found me, and for everything that I've been able to release and work through, I feel like I don't know how to really word this. I have a duty to give back and
Mm.
help that, because I can see and feel that energy, and I can be a facilitator for it. And
Mm.
it requires a lot of energy. When I know, especially these generational clearings, any kind of, well, you guys know, you do energy work. Energy work is, you have to be in a clear space yourself. And that takes a lot of effort. You have to be mindful about what you allow in and who you allow in, and what you have to be really diligent with keeping your space clear. And I'm definitely not always. And so if I'm not, and I know I have a clearing coming up, I have to really sit and make sure my own space is clear. Um, but yeah,
Mm.
I definitely feel really blessed to be able to do it. And it's amazing. I have so many experiences with clients and loved ones, people that I love, that I've been able to help clear through this crap and trauma, and the feelings that come from the ancestors, and the surprises that come through.
Mm. Mm.
That's one of my favorite things about it. I'll see something or get a message and tell the person, and they'll just like, I can't believe you just said that. I was having the same thought. Or I
Mm.
just was reading my journal or my grandma's journal or something, and that exact thing came up. And it's just amazing, the kinds of things that to me, it's that it's available for everyone and it's just waiting. These
Mm,
ancestors and this healing is just waiting for us to take a look over here and say, yes, please. I want that for me. And it's just beautiful work.
that's the chills like are everywhere, and it reminds me of an experience that I had years ago. I did some emotion and body code work with this facilitator, and I did like 7 sessions. In the last session, I was really growing impatient because she wanted to test through everything that came up, and I'm like, just check them off. Let's just keep going. And all of a sudden, we were in this little massage room, and I said, "Do you feel that?" I felt like what you said, that there was a whole line of my ancestors, and I was waiting for somebody to knock at the door, like for me to hear it. Because I said,
Hmm.
"They're in line. We have lots of work to do here. Let's get this
Yeah, let's get to
going.
it.
Let's not waste
Yeah,
any more time."
yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you're when you say generational, do you mean just your like bloodline here, or is there any akashic stuff, or is it just, or could it be connections just to humans in
So
the as a whole?
this specific shamanic generational clearing that I do is for your bloodline.
Okay.
So other clearings that I do, anything's game with that. If I'm just doing a general, like auric field clearing or a space clearing, there's been some really crazy things that have shown up, but this is specific for the bloodline. And we go through the mother's bloodline and we go through the father's bloodline. But it's not just past, it's also present. And I've
Mm,
had future generation kids show up. I've had several
mm,
experiences where future children or grandchildren have shown up and said, look,
Mm, wow.
got to take care of this. Please take care of this so
mhm.
I can't come through until this is taken care of.
Wow.
And those are the really, I mean, it's all amazing. But some of the messages that I've received from future generation is some of the most mind blowing. And
Mm,
it's not part of like the checklist of the things that I go through when I'm doing a clearing with mother and father. But when it shows up, it's really cool. It's really cool. And it doesn't happen every time. And it's not even, like I said, it's not something I check for every time. But when it comes up, it's awesome. But it
mhm.
is direct bloodline with this kind of generational
Okay.
clearing.
So you
That's
named a couple other clearings, types of clearings that you do. Aura
Hmm.
clearing? What is that?
Hmm. So, you know, people, we all just feel off some days or sometimes, or we have this chaotic energy, or we have something big coming up in our lives, and or we can't sleep, or we're having something just nagging at us. That's when it's a good time to do an auric clearing. And sometimes I start just going through people's aura and their chakras and balancing them. And sometimes we talk. I do it long distance. I do it face to face. Sometimes we talk through it. Sometimes I just do my work and there's no need to talk at all. I will get, I call them hits where
Mm,
I have a message for somebody, and sometimes I'll say, this is what I'm seeing. What does this mean to you? And sometimes it is the most random shit you can imagine. But I've
mhm,
learned I say it because
mm,
I don't it doesn't mean anything to me rationally, but it means something to them specifically. And
mm,
sometimes I say it and they instantly burst into tears. And tears are the best thing when we're doing that kind of
mhm.
clearing because
Yeah,
that's a release. And
yeah.
then we can get deeper. And sometimes it's like, I don't know, maybe it's this. And then we'll keep talking, and that opens them up a little bit
Mm,
more. And then something else comes through. But it's really just getting grounded and clearing out the clutter and the chaos and other people's energy. We go through life every day and we're taking on other people's
mm,
energy, and we're taking on, we come up with these ideas on our own when we're driving down the street. If we accidentally cut somebody off and,
mm,
oh, I'm sorry, and you're carrying that guilt, or somebody's mad at you and they've flip you off and you're carrying that, and we just collect garbage
Mhm.
every day. I think people should clear themselves every day. I think we all have the capability to do that, but sometimes we need that outside help of support and going through and just getting everything balanced again and just
Mhm.
clearing out all of that crap, getting refocused, getting regrounded. I balance meridians. There's just a lot of, and it's different with every person. So that's one kind of clearing that I can do. And then space clearing.
Okay.
And that's really fun. That's also something that I really have to be centered for to
Mm.
do space clearing, but going into people's homes, and it can just be moving out the stuck energy, or it can be moving out leftover energy from other people who lived there before, or even
Mhm.
people who just pass through your house can leave
Oh, yeah.
something, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's intentional and sometimes it's completely unintentional, but it doesn't belong there and it needs to be moved through.
Mhm.
And that is something that can make a huge difference in people's everyday lives, in their sleeping, in their relationships, in their financial situation, going through and moving out that stuck energy for whatever it is. And it can be,
Mhm.
as you taught me, ley lines underneath the home, and the landmarks that are around it. Clearing all of that. I've had
Mhm.
experiences before, that I start with a certain, sometimes I'll be clearing a person and I'm like, oh, this person, it's actually their space that needs to be cleared. And so I'll
Mhm.
work on clearing their bedroom. And then it might go further than that. And there's kind of a routine that I go through to check for these things. It,
Mm.
it can be the house. One time I had to clear the entire neighborhood, and it was because of
Oh,
something
come to
that a
my
teenager,
neighborhood, please.
Yes, please.
whatever, you can clear your neighborhood, but I would be happy to come help. But I'm serious. I had to clear the whole neighborhood because of something that a couple of teenagers had
Mm.
been doing in the neighborhood. And
Mm.
it's not like, magic wand, everything's, like it's
Right.
solved forever. But it's something that if there's an event or there's something that has happened that's just stuck there, energy doesn't want to be stagnant. And so
Mm.
sometimes it feels stuck or feels blocked, and we can release that and send it to a place that it can be transformed or back to where it came from in the first place. And the difference is humongous. It
Mhm.
really has potential to change everything.
Oh,
So
I
it's pretty
so
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow. That's so
Yep.
cool. Go ahead, Jeremy. I know you've got some questions.
Do you, kind of going back to the clearing sessions that you do on people, do you offer those virtually as well, or do you prefer to have someone come in person?
Honestly, I prefer the virtual.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's hard for people to believe that you're really doing anything unless they're there and they can feel it. I was actually
Yeah.
just talking to a friend about this. The reason I prefer virtual is because if somebody comes into, this is my energy room, my space room to do that kind of work. If they're here and I'm opening up and they are opening up to release, humans are concerned. What's my face going to look like if I start crying? I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose
Mm.
it in front of other people. If they're in their home and we're communicating through, you know, I really prefer text. I really prefer to have a scribe who's writing things down for me and then can communicate that. And sometimes I'll do it just if
Mm.
they're, some people I'll just be like, just make sure you're not driving and that you're just sitting relaxed and taking deep breaths. Other people I need to communicate with, like, this is what's coming up. What does this mean to you? Or you need to breathe down into your solar plexus, or, there's some things that sometimes I have to communicate. But the benefit of doing it long distance is they're not worried about what I'm thinking about them. Some people are
Mhm.
very open. I have a
Mm.
couple clients who are super open and I can just move them through super quick because they don't
Mm.
care. They're not concerned
Mm.
about crying or what their face is going to look like or what I'm going to think about them, or if they really tell me what they're thinking of. Like, this is
Mm.
coming up when I stole this from this department store. You know what I mean?
Mm.
People are worried about it. And so that that limits what I can do to move through with them. But if they're on their own in their own space and they're sitting there and they know nobody's watching them, they know nobody's listening to them, they tend to open up a lot easier,
Mm.
and I can help them more in that case. And that's not the case for everybody, but um I prefer to do it long distance, and it's oftentimes more effective. I
I can
also
say
use
I've
Go
had a
ahead.
session I've had a couple sessions with you via text.
Yeah.
They were powerful because I could feel that you were holding space for me, and I mean, you were so good at the text. They weren't long paragraphs, but it was because I thought, "Really, we're gonna do this via text? It feels a little disconnected," but it
Hmm.
wasn't. It was these prompts, and then I would set the phone down and I'd close my eyes, and I could just there was times when I thought I could hear you in my head walking me
Hmm.
through, this journey that I was on. It was incredible. I highly
Thank you.
recommend it.
It was such an honor for me to be able to do that for you. And you are very open. And so, it was very easy to work with you.
Mhm,
And some people aren't ready, some people aren't open,
mhm,
some people I don't connect with them.
yeah,
I've had some people that I'm like, I don't think I'm the person to help you with this. Here's somebody that I would recommend for whatever reason. But it's really pretty cool. And there are some people that they've been here with me, and the generational clearings we have to do. It's a whole ritual. It's a little, and I also have to say, it's quite intense. A generational clearing is quite intense, and it requires you to be open and pretty vulnerable.
Mm.
So that disclaimer, because
mhm,
I always give it, because if you don't know what to expect, it can be a little overwhelming, I guess I would
mhm,
say.
mhm,
But just a regular clearing, which is what I do the most of, it's really cool, and almost everybody feels better after.
mhm.
I'll clear myself. I have a teenage son who doesn't, he thinks I'm way out there, but sometimes he'll be like, "Can you clear me?" And it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It really makes a difference. And it's just sometimes my pendulum gets real crazy. I mean, chaos. And to watch
Mm,
the work that I do with that pendulum, to watch it just go insane, and then it just calms down, and it's just a nice motion, and I can feel their energy release, and the calm and the peace that comes in is it's really awesome.
mm,
It's really cool. I also integrate oracle cards, and
mm,
sometimes tarot, and that's also like and that's almost always just reaffirming the work that we've
yeah.
done. And it's really cool when, I like it when they're here to choose the card for themselves,
Mm.
because I'm sure some people are like, you had that in your back pocket. You knew that was the card you were going to pick. And it never is. But when
No.
they can pick a card and it's like, oh, interesting. This is saying exactly what we were just working through. And it
Yeah.
just is confirmation of what we just did. It's really cool. I love it.
I love that. That's so cool. W- in terms of space clearing, um, let's see, what was my question? My question is, you see a lot of things online, like on Instagram and TikTok, about people, saying you don't need to call a space clear, you can do it yourself. What are the do's and don'ts of clearing your own space if you're going to do it yourself?
Hmm. The do's are: open the windows. You can't clear the space and have the windows be closed, because there's nowhere for the energy to go.
Mm,
I think with space clearings, it depends on the space. If there's been a traumatic event like a death or a big fight, or sometimes even just a divorce, or people, they don't even have to be divorced, abuse or something in that house, I would definitely not recommend somebody try that on their own.
mm,
I
Open
agree.
when you're doing, as you guys know, as when you're doing this work, you really open yourself up. And I have moved away from a belief in like this demonic kind of energy and that this is a scary thing. It's
Mhm.
usually just stuck energy. But there are dark energies out there. And people who are open and don't know how to manage it can take
Yeah.
that on, and then they get a headache or they feel they can get sick after they do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're going to do your own space clearing, you have to be connected and aware of what it is that you're feeling. If you've never done any kind of energy work, I would just say don't. It's one thing to sage, but even just saging or using, I think if you use rose water, Autumn's rose water,
Mhm.
by the way, is the only way
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
go.
the best.
Um, I think you're fine for that. If you just feel like you want to spritz some orange oil or whatever, I think that's totally fine. But if you're setting out to clear it, I would say don't, if there's anything that you feel like is nefarious or that's really overwhelming. But if you're going to open the windows, make sure you're in a good space. If you're in a bad emotional state, or you're grumpy,
Mhm.
or you just had a fight, don't even try. You're just opening
Mhm.
yourself up. Um, so the do's: be in a really good place, and remember to open the windows and the doors. Set an intention. What is this that you want to accomplish?
Mhm.
What is it specifically? And then I think the biggest piece of this puzzle that people miss, even trained people who are doing energy work on their own, they do a clearing, whether it's for a space or self or whatever, but they don't take that final step of, where do you send this energy? It has to have somewhere to go. And you can just clear it. I mean, I've heard of people do these clearings, and they do clearings routinely. Like every week they're clearing people. Well, yeah, we always pick up things, but we shouldn't need it that often. Is it the same energy that's coming back? Is it from a past relationship or something that we're not really fully sending to wherever it needs to go? I think that's really important, and that's hard to just say, do this, follow these steps to make sure it goes there. You have to
Mhm.
really do some studying and training to know how to do that. And I think you also need to be able to feel the energy. So don't get in over your head. And that's definitely not to
Mhm.
say you can't learn. You can learn to do this, but don't take on more than you should. Before I was really trained in this, I wasn't really trained in it at all. I knew I had some kind of a ability for healing, but my mom got really sick, and she had
Mhm.
she had pneumonia, and I was really doing Reiki on her. I wasn't attuned at that time, but we called it running energy, and I had no concept of protecting myself. Well, we're all as fraught as some of our relationships are with our mothers, we are connected to them and we love them. And I took it on, and I got so sick. And I
Mhm.
had a different kind of a teacher at the time who definitely knew some, but she didn't, she wasn't attuned to Reiki or anything. But she told me, "Did you protect yourself before you went?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I didn't. And she ended up kind of doing a clearing for me, but it was rough. I had to
Mhm.
learn the hard way, and I've learned, like with my kids, I have to be extra diligent, because I'm so open to them and to their energy. And as a mother, I want to fix them and help them. So if I'm going to work on them, I have to be extra diligent to make sure I'm clear. And I
Mhm.
don't really like the word protection, because I think it
I don't either.
lends this idea that there's something dangerous out there. And I
Mhm.
don't think that that's what it is, but we have our own specific auric fields, and we are the only ones who should be in that space. We shouldn't take it on. I mean, I like that you said, I'm holding space for you, but I'm holding it here. I'm not taking it in. And when I first started doing this, I would channel it through me, and I would feel it in my own
Mm.
body.
Mm.
And that's dangerous. And I didn't
Yeah.
know. I just didn't know. I could feel it. And I still sometimes do. And I have to be like, okay, I'm thank you for that message. This is not mine.
Yeah.
I'm putting this back out here. And if you can help people clear their own stuff, then, and that's better for them. And I'll tell people, especially when I work on moms, I'll tell them, look, You cannot help them by taking this on for them. It doesn't help them. It just transfers it, and the problem is still there, and they haven't worked through it. They have to clear their own space, and they have to keep their own essence, and they have to keep their own energy. And you trying to take that from them robs them of that opportunity to clear it, and it hurts you.
Yeah.
I have one mom in particular. She just wants to help her kids so much and fix her kids, and every single time I have to help her, talk her through it, clear her, send her energy back to, send her kids essence and energy back to them, and tell her you're doing them a disservice. They
Yeah.
need that. You're robbing them of that experience, and that's why we're here. That's what I believe. That's
Mhm.
why we're here, to learn to heal ourselves and work through it. And some people will. They suck other people's energy, and they put their energy on other people, and it doesn't serve anybody. It just avoids.
Yeah.
Did I
I
answer
agree.
your question?
Yeah, you did. I
Yep.
love how loving and compassionate you are, but you have this firmness about you. It's a mother firmness. You've got that mother energy that, is like, this is, we can't do this. It's like, sometimes we have to scold our children, or sometimes we have to, speak real. And I love that. I've always admired that about you, because you're so authentic and real to who you
Mhm.
are. And you bring that right in. And to
Yeah.
Thank
me,
you.
some people may not like firm, but
Mhm.
to me, it's comforting.
Mhm.
It's a very comforting thing, because it means that you care. You're not just sugarcoating everything and
Yeah.
fluffing
Yeah.
everything up. It means that you
Mhm.
really do care. Um,
Thank
so
you. Thanks for that.
thank you.
And it's hard. It's hard to, say, look, I know this is what you want
Hmm.
it to be, and I know that this would be more comforting, because if you can take it on, then their problems are solved. But it doesn't solve anybody's problems. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've had some people be like, bye. But
Wow.
they might as well just go, because there's nothing I can do to help them if they're not willing to really see things for what they are and take accountability. That word even seems a little bit harsh, but it really is. Like,
It's the
look,
truth,
Mhm.
this
though.
is what you have to do. It is. This is what
Yeah.
you have to do to work through this, and take it or leave it. But this is what it is. We can't just, like I said, we can't just wave a magic wand and you have to do the work. I'm just
Mhm.
Yeah.
facilitating this.
Exactly.
You have to do the work.
Yeah, you're the channel.
Hmm.
You're the
Mhm.
channel, and sometimes people don't wanna hear what they don't wanna hear.
Nope.
And they
In
need someone to
relationships.
blame, or they need something to blame, so
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
guys know that's the same with chart readings. Actually, I would
Yep.
say I almost see it more with chart readings. And I have to give a disclaimer all the time, like, I'm a double horse. I'm telling you these things about a horse, as a double
Yeah.
horse. So don't be
Yeah.
offended, but this is the truth. And it's funny to see some people's reaction, because some people really get offended, but
Mhm.
it might be in their head somewhere in the back of their mind, and hopefully it can kind of help them to see, oh,
Yeah.
I really am being selfish in this situation.
Oh, that's why I love the chart so much.
Yeah,
It just gets right to it.
it really does. And
Mhm.
there's no denying it.
Mm-mm.
And it's cool to combine this work, because, Jeremy, you were asking me, I think before, like, what would you say it is you do? And it's hard to kind of put a clear definition on what
Yeah.
it is I do, because people will come to me. I really only work through referrals. I don't advertise. I don't go out seeking for new clients. So people who come to me are just coming from, somebody who has had an experience with me that they felt was positive, and they're sending their loved ones to me, which is, I'm very grateful for that. But
Mm.
it's something that I might sit down and say, okay, let's look at your chart, let's look at your husband's chart, or your kid, or whoever you're having the issue with, and then we can kind of make a plan to see. And it's really helpful for me to know what their chart is, because I know how to approach them. The charts
Yeah.
are so revealing. Like, if I know I've got a double rabbit and a sheep, I'm gonna have to approach that a little bit differently than if I have a double rooster. and an ox. So
Mhm.
uh, it's helpful to know. And the clients that I have to be a little bit more delicate with, and the clients that I can just be no bullshit, like this is just how
Yeah.
it is. Let's get down to it. And so
Mhm.
that's helpful. It's not necessary, but it's nice to be able to see, and especially with the generational stuff, to be able to go, okay, here's your relationship with your mom, here's your relationship with your grandpa, here's your relationship with your kids, here's a pattern, let's open this up. And I don't go into
Mm.
the generational clearings like, I try not to have a preconceived idea, but sometimes people will be like, my grandma was a real bitch and
Mm.
she is haunting my dreams and I got to work through this. And
Wow.
we'll work through it like that. But we go back 6 generations. And
Wow.
sometimes things come up. I've seen so much work with people with healing trauma from great grandmothers, great grandmothers.
Mm.
Lots of healing trauma with that, where they feel like they never had a voice to be heard. And we're giving them in some way a voice. And it is so awesome. And also, um, a lot of male, not necessarily from the father line, but a lot of male who want men who want to come forward and say thank you, or clarify and say, look, this is how I have been perceived, and that was never my intention.
Mm.
And I'm sorry, and I always loved you. And it's
Mm.
really cool to see the messages that come through. And one of my very favorite parts of this work, without going into too much detail, is we do work with candles, and at the end there's candles burning, and at the end we dump candle into water, and then I analyze what the candle is saying. And sometimes I have the client say, what do you see here? And we make that connection together. And it's
Mm.
it's kind of like the cherry on the top, because the work is done, all the hard work is done. Now it's like, let's see what this is. And sometimes it's a message of thank you. Sometimes it's a message of, this is where we still need to do work. But it's really cool, and it's different every single time. And that's what I
Yeah.
love about it. Like, it is
Oh, cool.
one of the coolest parts of it, to just be like, what's this one gonna be?
Oh
So
my
it's pretty fun.
gosh. You have
Yep.
like these fun little things that you just add to your experience. So how long is a generational clearing session with you?
Um, it it depends on the person,
Okay.
but usually about an hour and a
Okay.
half. And it's emotional. Like, it's a
Mhm.
it's a big, you have to be prepared for this
Yeah.
hour and a half, make sure you're well
Why?
rested and hydrated. And
Yeah. Why 6 generations?
that's just what the shamans who taught my teacher
Okay.
what to do, how far to go back. So that's a good question. I don't know. That's how far we've been back. I've never gone forward 6 generations. I think the most I've ever felt, um, like a message for, is 2 generations in the
Mm.
future,
Mhm.
progenitors. But 6 generations back, and you make a list of your, here's you, here's mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and you go down the lines and make a list, even if you don't know their names, great
Okay.
grandma Brown, whatever,
Yeah. Wow.
and go through. And then we go through and specifically clear for each of them. And
Mhm.
it's pretty
Wow.
cool.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Sometimes people get stuck and they don't know why they're stuck. Like, I've had people say, I've done all this work, I've done this and this
Mhm.
and this, and I've had all this therapy and everything. And that's when I usually say, I think this is something generational.
Yeah.
And if we can help move that through, then it can open you up for,
Mhm.
and there's almost always a big breakthrough.
That's so
It's
fascinating because so many times I'm on a Reiki table or I'm sitting with some healer and it's like, okay, well, it's your mom. And I'm like, holy fuck, why is it always my, I thought we dealt with
again,
it. So it could be my mother's lineage
Oh,
I would
okay.
say,
there
Tina,
Yeah.
it probably is.
it is.
It probably is. Yep,
Mhm.
it
It's not
probably is.
necessarily my mom, it's all who came before her.
Hmm.
And she just
Yep.
is the channel, the deliverer
Yeah.
of,
Or the link to that. I guess
yeah,
that's the
right.
same thing as channel. And
Mhm.
Mhm.
that's kind of, I mean, you're a mom, you know, we get blamed. We just get blamed, and that's just human nature. We just blame our moms for everything.
Mhm.
But, doing this work has really helped me realize I truly believe nobody's a bad person. There just aren't bad people who are just evil or want to set out to just they don't care. They just have hurt that needs to be healed.
Mhm.
And so many times it's the people before that. Think of how much our generation has evolved just in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
You go back and watch a sitcom or something from 20 years ago, the things that they said, like, you
Crazy.
can't say that now. And
No.
it's not that you can't say it because it's just politically incorrect. It's just incorrect. Like,
Mhm.
that is fucked up thinking.
Yeah, it's
And
just
we
Yeah.
not
we need to get away from that, and we have evolved. So imagine going back 300 years, and they're still human. Our ancestors had this same human experience with relationships and survival and shame and doubt and
yeah.
fear and all those things. And if we can give them a way and a voice, which sounds extreme and dramatic, but in doing this work for however long I've been doing it now, it's real. Like, it is there and it is real, and it
Mm.
it it, it wants to be healed. And once you can open that door and unlock that piece for them, the feeling, the feeling once something releases or clears is always the same. The
Mm.
feeling that I feel as somebody who's facilitating, it's always the same kind of feeling. And the best thing that I could explain it of is peace. The
Mhm.
energy of people and their ancestors always feels different every single time, no matter who I'm working on. Even the
Mm.
way my pendulum moves is different from person to person. But the feeling of peace when the release happens is the same. And
Mm.
it is beautiful. It is the most beautiful feeling of love that I have ever experienced in
Mm.
my own healing and in facilitating healing for others. And it's really awesome. It's just really awesome. And I feel very, very blessed and fortunate to be able to be doing this kind of work.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You're awesome
I
for doing
agree.
that.
Where do
Well,
people
thank you.
find
I've learned
you,
so much.
Lynsie? I know that you usually are referral only, but how, for our listeners, if someone wants a space clearing or a house clearing, how do they contact you?
I do have an Instagram that I don't keep up very good, and a Facebook page, but they can find me through there and message me, or
Okay,
email me. My email address is fika.fengshui@protonmail.com.
great.
Um,
We'll link
so
those. We'll link
yes,
those for people that want to look into
and I
this
have a website that
description.
I need to get up and running again. I'm not very good at that end of like that because I don't really enjoy marketing, and I haven't really needed to market. I've
Mhm.
just I my bread and butter is teaching piano, and I love that and I enjoy it. But this is something that I also really love and enjoy, and I feel very strongly that whoever is supposed to work with me will come to me authentically. Not that marketing isn't authentic, but
Yeah.
I just that's just what works for me, is just to let people come through however they end up finding me. And so that's why I don't really keep that up. But I do check it. And if they want to contact me, they can send a message through. It's Fika Feng Shui on Instagram and Facebook. And also they can email me.
We
But
have
that's
a
how.
That's awesome. We'll definitely put that, in the description below. We have a question that we ask all of our guests. Um,
Mhm.
the energy in the world right now is pretty intense. Do you have any words of wisdom to help people navigate or understand what's happening right now?
Um, I don't understand what's happening right now. And it is disconcerting. No matter where you sit, um, in any side of it, there's chaos and contention for all of us. And I think the best word of advice could be to keep your peace. I have somebody
Mm.
very close to me who gave me some wise words when I was going through something really hard once. And he said, "Nothing is worth my peace." So we
Ooh,
can't control,
that's
we have
good.
no control over these outcomes, but we can control what we allow to let out there and or put out there and contribute to the chaos and the fear. And if we can stay centered and focused and grounded, then nothing is worth our peace. It's not worth the fight. It's not worth the fear because that's the only thing that we can control. And honestly, this is the advice that I give to everybody. Some people don't like, even when he told me that, I was like, well, that's nice. I don't have peace. How do I obtain peace? That's what I want. Um, Go outside barefoot and put your feet on the ground and let Mother
Amen.
Earth give you her support and her energy. And for 90% of people having anxiety or fear, if you'll do that every single day, just get out there and get your feet on the ground and remember that we are connected. We are connected, we're supported. I every morning I have a mantra and I say I'm connected to Father God and Mother Earth. I'm connected to both the source. And if I can just remember that, and sometimes I have to go outside, I ground every day. And I'll go outside and I'll look up. I like to go out before the sun comes up and to see the stars and the moon and go, I am part of this. I am here in this experience now for a reason. And Mother Earth is beneath me, supporting me. And the proof that there's a higher source for me is in the stars and in the moon. And if you can go out there and remember that you're a part of that, that's where you can obtain that peace. If even just for
Hallelujah.
that 5 minutes
Yeah.
for the day and go out anytime. There are times that I'll have an interaction with a parent or one of my children or whatever that I just get so, or a husband, and I'll get so like worked up. I just have to go outside and stand and ground and just, yep, I'm still here and I'm okay. In this moment, I'm okay. Everything around me, I'm safe. That's another mantra that I have. I am safe every day. I am safe because we are. Think of like the worst experience you've ever had. We're still okay.
Yeah.
We're still safe. We're still
Yeah.
loved. We're still supported. We're still here. And even if we're not here, we're here. I just had somebody pass that was very close. As you guys know, I was very close to her. And I was so blessed to be there with her in her final moments. And it was as tragic and awful, and I'm still reeling from this experience. It was reaffirming to me. Like it was so obvious that her spirit goes on and she's okay. She's okay.
Yeah.
And that means I'm okay and you're okay and we're all okay. No matter what happens in the next month, years, whatever, no matter what happens, it's for a reason. And we're all okay. And nothing is worth our peace.
Mm. Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lynsie.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. This was great.
Beautiful.
I love talking about
Yeah,
this stuff.
I love it.
And thank you both for everything you have taught me. You have been such a huge inspiration, and I have learned so much from both of you, and I'm just so grateful for you both.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank
Well,
you right back at you.
it's an honor. So we're going to leave all that information to connect with Lynsie. You're going to have to get in line because I'm going first. I'm
Let's
putting it
do
on
it.
my
Cool.
Christmas list.
Okay. Love it.
Yeah, I'd love to come and see you. So
Yeah,
thanks, Jeremy. Thanks, Lynsie, for being here and supporting
thank
us.
you.
Share this, so that people know what you're doing. I'm sure not everybody that
Thank,
knows you knows this part
no,
of
I'm
you.
sure they don't.
So
Yeah, so share it.
surprise. But
Surprise!
you're amazing, and what a gift you are. I do have one quick question. Is there a chance in the future, in the near future, that you might teach this? You might train people to do what you
I've
do?
had a lot of people, I don't know if I want to teach the generational clearing necessarily,
Mm,
but just like general clearing, I think that's something that I will
I
teach
think
okay.
that would
because
be
I
wonderful.
think I feel a little bit like I'm gatekeeping, not intentionally at
Mhm.
all. It's
Mhm.
not something that you can just say, here's how you clear yourself. Here's how
Yeah.
you clear your space. There are steps that you need to learn to do it, and everybody should be able to do it. I mean, if everybody relied on us to do that kind of work, nobody would, we're all capable of doing
Mhm.
this. So yeah, I think I do need to plan a class and
Okay.
teach, open this up for people to learn how to at least clear themselves and their
Mhm.
own space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah, I need to get
Okay.
something together for that. Thanks for
Online
asking.
and in person. Yeah, let's do it. I'll help you make it
Yeah,
happen if you need some support.
okay. I know you
Okay.
will. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.